Ego and pride aside. I know you, but I don't know you. You know you, but do you know you? Ego and pride aside. You know me, but you don't know me. I know me, but do I know me? Ego and pride aside. I know you when you don't know you. You know me and I don't know me.
And even with me looking at that whole situation, I went through it, I survived it. I never snorted. Uh, I never did any crack, cocaine. Um, I never did any sherm. I have smoked weed. I have drank before. Hennessy, 1765 was my drink at that particular time. And even when it came to like alcohol, you know, um, that was a choice that my family chose as far as drinking. That was the thing that I seen heavenly. You know what I mean? As far as with my family, drinking. I seen face fall in soup bowls. I seen fights. I seen people fall, tumble, roll, slurred speech, arguments. Cool 1 minute, alcohol get in system, things go downhill. And I was a kid, and I used to remember. I can remember just being around when everybody's sober in the beginning, and when the alcohol took place and everybody started getting loaded, it was that cue or that sign that something was about to go down. As soon as that alcohol get in their system, people get to cussing, they get belligerent, so forth and so on. And as a kid, when I used to see that take place, I used to be like trying to hurry my mom to let's go, because I knew once that alcohol came into play, I knew there was going to be some type of argument or some type of fight which was going to take place. You know, and I see many individuals drink and wreck a lot of cars. You know, um, just a lot of behavior in which I said to myself as a kid, I said this, you know, growing up, I said, nah, I don't want to be like that. You know, um, just seeing like when it came to uh, parties, there was alcohol involved. When it was alcohol, there was parties, so they helped one another. You know, so for me, I seen that, and I seen the effects of alcohol, and I seen what it did over time. And I got family members to this very day, you know what I'm saying, to where, I was a kid and they was an adult and they still at the bottle. I done had relatives to where um, they were supposed to stop drinking, and family members was trying to reassure that they stopped drinking, but they was tipping the canteen uh, 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 into their coffee, or just because they had to reach that stage of it was needed of being an alcoholic. Um, so it with me, I don't make judgment on an individual as far as what he choose, but I didn't start drinking, I think, until um, I think I was like, I want to say 17, 18. And it was more of a situation to where, when I was my relative, he's the individual that introduced me uh, to the selling the drugs and things like that. Um, I went to one of I think it was a party, I want to say, and we used to go get the case of 40s at the time. You know, 40s is like old E800, or some cats was drinking St. Ives, whatever it may be. I think we was drinking 800 at the time, and I used to always get the case, get it by the case, but um, everybody had their own individual 40 ounce. I didn't drink at the time, so when they popped out, I remember the first time I had a drink, they popped out the 40 ounce, and we were supposed to toast for the occasion that it was, and I was like, nah, I'm cool. They was like, nah, you gonna drink? I was like, nah, I'm cool, I don't drink. So at this time, I was more on that point to as far as looking back and seeing the effects that it had on my family and so forth, to where I didn't want to be that, I didn't want to be in that type of world as far as with the drinking and so forth, and the wrecking the vehicles, and just the fights, you know what I mean, and the laughter, and just the humility that comes with drinking at times, when a person is too far gone. Um, so he was like, man, either you're gonna drink or we're gonna get on you, you know. So I'm like, so I try to, because I was a kind of a person that, I got a little aggressive at times, you know what I mean? And, cause I thought at that particular time I had a strong hand game and feet game, you know what I mean? So I was like, man, we can do whatever. But it was 6, 7 of them at the time. And it was like, man, we gonna go body. So at the particular time, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't with it. So I said, man, I'll drink the little 40. So I drink the 40. And that was like my introduction, of drinking, and I can remember me drinking, and it always came back to me as far as I always thought about when I was younger, and just the whole alcohol thing. And I can remember me drinking a beer one time because I was only drinking beer only. I didn't really drink no hard liquor at all. Well, more proof, I should say. And I was drinking a beer. At the time, it was Ice Bull. That was a beer that they had at a particular time. It was supposed to be a stronger proof. And I drank it coming fresh out the refrigerator. And I can remember beer used to be good, on a hot day. And so I drink the Ice Bull, and it tasted just ridiculously nasty. So I thought it was a bad one. So I poured it out, went grabbed another one, drink it. It had the same taste. My thing was I can't drink them no more. It's time for me to graduate. So that's when I went to Hennessy with the lemon squeeze. So now I'm drinking Hennessy, and Hennessy, it was I would buy it by the bottle. I think I bought a fifth at the time, and it would last me a long period of time. So I sipped on it throughout the day. If people knew me, they knew it was called a personal. Personal means that it's strictly for me, and I would drink that all through, and eventually, make a long story short, the reason why, I no longer drink or whatever the case may be. And it's something I used to always do as far as when I start going to jail, I would indulge in anything, no drinking. I smoke weed, but I stopped smoking weed in like 1992. Um, and I ended up going to jail. And as part of my, the reason why I was incarcerated, is a strong reason why uh, I took a better look at life and just said to myself, um, I'm not drinking. I'm gonna come out new and improved. And not to say that the reason why I was incarcerated is because I was drinking, because that wasn't it. It was just me being incarcerated and choosing not to indulge in anything, and coming out new and improved. That was just my way of doing it. So 1994, that was that decision that I made, that I'm done, you know, and I didn't drink no more. And here I am, many years later. Uh, Shit, I was 94. You got to think about it. It's 2025 right now. I ain't touched anything, you know. I may have an energy drink, Celsius that is, but other than that, I haven't touched anything. No smoking, no liquor, no anything. And I feel great, you know. So with me looking back, being too young to understand, to getting a better perspective just on life in general, as far as when it comes to indulging in liquor, seeing the things that I've seen as far as the crack rock, selling things, seeing what it does to the people, being young, you basically don't look at those things. And like even when we touch, the whole thing as far as with the gang life or the street life and so forth and so on, as being young, we don't really look at the certain things. We're told certain things by people, and what I mean by that is like people will tell you, when you can't snitch on your friends, you can't snitch on anybody. This is part of the game. And my thing is like when you're taught these things, you're young and you believe in them, and you may ride or die to them. You know what I mean? You may ride and die to them. But the individuals that actually taught you these things, or on different scales or different levels, they're not living by these things. So you're bringing these in and you're living them to 110%. You solely believe in them, because you're at this young age. But what you don't understand, that those written rules, they was meant to be broken. They're not following them, you know. Um, the life that people presented to you is basically to keep things in some type of uh, uh, line, keep it in line to a certain extent, but it's it's far out of control. You know, we have people that's doing crimes and doing certain things, and just to set themselves free, they're telling them that themselves, the individuals they was with, and individuals they don't know or have anything to do with. And as being young, I can remember being out there and got into it with an individual, and the individual basically went to the law on me. Now, me thinking this type of individual, and from what was said and so forth and so on, I'm thinking that we gonna hold courts in the streets, as they say. I come to find out this whole courts in the streets thing and this whole thing about street life, it's all thumbs down. Um, it's not true. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a belief and it's a thing that they may put forth on these videos, uh, on TV, so forth and so on. Like even now, TV shows you the whole real thing when it comes to people getting put in the box or getting ready to go to jail. You know what I mean? Before they put the handcuffs on, they giving you up. So it's just for me seeing this, and anybody that knows me, they know that when I involve myself in something, I go hard on it. You know what I mean? And that was just always been me. With me doing that, um, I basically, dove headfirst into it. Being young, um, I didn't join the gangs. I wasn't a blood. I wasn't a Crip, even though I had relatives was blood Crip. They was into G. They was a G. Um, uh, Someone was G's, I should say. Um, but for me, I was around them. I seen it. I seen the beefs. If I was with my cousins and they got into a confrontation with somebody and I was with them, I'm riding with them, whether it was on the Crip side, the blood side, or the G side. I was with them. You know what I mean? Um, Not throwing up the sets with them and so forth and so on. And even then I didn't judge them, and I don't judge nobody now. You know what I mean? I just feel that um, I feel like it's not something for me. And the reason being is that I can remember when I was younger, and I remember when the gangs that first came up to Seattle, and a lot of my friends, um, they was like, "Man, we about to go get initiated into whatever it was at that particular time," and they was asking, "Man, you coming? You coming?" Man, we all going down. I can remember it was like 10 or more of them. And I was like, "Nah, I'm cool." You know what I mean? Because I was like, "What is initiation?" Initiation is basically where they go walk a line, where they got to get jumped into something or whatever the case may be. And my thing was, if you put your hands on me, we're not friends. And that was my motto and my mode even back then. If I can get to the point to where I can put my hands on you or I can harm you or hurt you in any form, any fashion, that wasn't a way I looked at as being, what I'm saying, put into something or being a part of something. I feel like for a person to take an ass whooping or something like that, that's easy to do. You got to do something more on a different level. You know what I mean? As far as when it comes to, being a part of something. And to be truth be told, them individuals, they went. When they came back, my friends from not being involved in nothing as far as kids and them then being a part of that, I seen a lot of changes in them. And all of them wasn't made out for that life. Because when we think of the Crips, the Bloods, and so forth, what I'm saying, we think in gang banging life, and so forth and so on. And, eventually, when the guys came up from California, cats up here as far as in Seattle, we was coming from the hands, what I'm saying? We was getting our scrap on from the time of the cruise to the times of, what I'm saying, when they got their streets and they all, migrated to, what I'm saying, the different street sets and things like that. But uh, we was fighting. But when I remember when the Crips came up and the gunplay, got in the, got in effect, you know, some cats transitioned, some didn't, you know, and for those that didn't, you know what I mean, uh, they was on the bad end, unless they catch you in the county jail or they catch you, what I'm saying, slipping in a store or just somewhere, what I'm saying, where you didn't have that thing on you. So, you know, for me, the whole, gang thing, and I didn't never understand it, growing up. And as I got older, you know, I realized that it truthfully wasn't for me because I seen something in it back then to where now, you know, it makes more sense on why I didn't, you know, and understanding it more so. And like a lot of times, and I say to myself, is a lot of my friends, they didn't have that structure inside their homes, or they didn't have nobody to tend to, or they was an older brother, or they were scared, or they wanted to feel a sense of belonging, or it was the fad, or it was what was in. But you gotta understand, in that life, man, people was losing life. You know what I mean? So for me, the whole gang thing, wasn't for me. For the individuals, that are, more power to them. You know, but I'm gonna say this: we all know, you got one life. And I believe in, as I always say, what I'm saying, you make it your best life. And as we get older, like, now, I ain't no 20-year-old. You know what I mean? I ain't no 25-year-old. you know um, when you get 30s and 40s, I feel like it's time for you to go ahead and, what I'm saying, hang it up. But especially when you got kids and grandkids and so forth, it's time for you to, kind of put all that things down and become responsible, you know um and really take care of what needs to be taken care of, to make sure that they don't, take the necessary steps, what I'm saying, that you've been through, because as a parent, that that's not what you want for your kid. And for those that want that for their kid, you lead them down a road that has a drop off. You know what I mean? It's basically, what I'm saying, endless, and it'll end in, bad results. But, you know, as a kid, I just never involved myself in the gangs, or just, I didn't live, that life, you know, and I didn't been in it, and I didn't done a lot of things. And I'm here today, say I survived it. I have my experience from it. I feel that as of now, I didn't know the effects that it had on me being young, but today, I can see a lot of the effects it have on me. And what I mean by that is that uh, I sleep like light, I don't sleep heavy, and I don't sleep sound. It's a lot of movement and so forth and so on. Uh, I may be asleep, but my mind is not sleeping. So that's when I got back to that form, that kind of form of PTSD, as far as like how they deal with it, the way they deal with it. But I deal with it the way that I deal with it, and so it's just, um, there's a lot of things that you go through in life, and what I mean by that is basically that um, you don't see it then, but as you get older and your mind matures, if your mind is maturing, you start seeing the things and seeing the reasons why, you think and you do the things that you do. And it's like, even when I go to uh, uh, my life and my days of being incarcerated, I was young, you know, and I understood, basically, saying what took place and what I had to do, you know, and I accepted it, you know, and I accepted it, and I made it through it, because I'm here to talk to you guys today about it, you know. Um, it was something that I had to do. And I can remember somebody was asking me that if I can do my whole life over, would I? As far as the things that I've been through in life and so forth and so on. And at the end of the day, I had to really think about it. And I said, nah, because um, who I am today, you know, and the things that I went through back then is what put me here and got my mind thinking the way that it thinks, you know. And even though, throughout my life, I always tell people, as far as, man, you got one life, and you're gonna be dealt a certain hand. You know what I mean? And just because that hand is dealt to you the way that it's dealt to you, it doesn't mean, what I'm saying, that it's a losing hand. You could be in poverty, you could be without a father, you can be without parents, whatever the case may be. Your adversity may be a little tougher or a little stronger, but if you as an individual, if that's what you want in life, that's what you're gonna get in life. So it's kind of like I always tell people, if you see something, You know what I'm saying? If you think something, you know what I'm saying, eventually you will do something. And that's just my whole model, you know, as far as like when it comes to that, you know, we're always young, you know, us all is so many things that we didn't understand. And as a kid, you know, the things that we didn't understand, we got to a certain point in life to where we did understand it a lot more if we took the time to do so. And like me, I took the time to look at life and look at the things that I've been through, you know, because people tell me a lot today. They say that I'm very stubborn and I'm set in my ways, so forth and so on, because I have survived so long, you know, with certain things. Um, my mentality has uh, been um, suited to whatever type of environment I had to be in. You know, I'm gonna go the distance. You know what I mean? And I knew that when certain situations took place, I'm 110% willing to go the distance. You know, and being young and not really bringing that in to see what it actually is and what it's actually doing to me for the long haul, and making sure that my mind is maturing to where it's at today. Um, I manage it and I maintain, you know what I'm saying, as far as everything, you know, as far as that I endured, you know, back then, you know what I mean? Um, the things that I seen, you know what I'm saying, the things that I've been through. So it's like now um I could sit here and I can look at my son and I can say to myself, this is not what I want to display in front of him. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do this in front of my son. I'm not gonna do that, you know, I'm not gonna do this, you know what I mean? Because I had to make decisions because it's no longer about me solely. You know, my thing is I want to give my son the best life. And I'm not saying buying him clothes, shoes, cars, video games, phones, none of that stuff. It's basically I want to implement in him, you know, that integrity, you know what I mean, that self-respect, that respect for others, you know what I mean, goal setting, knowing that you know he can do whatever he needs to do, you know what I mean, um, not giving him so much to where he don't understand, but making sure that he can live the life as being a kid and he don't have to be traumatized by the certain things that basically takes place in a lot of kids' lives these days. You know what I mean? He don't have to worry about his dad, you know, drinking, smoking, uh, getting in altercations, and you know, just going through, you know, all the things that you know you go through as a kid. I mean, some things he's gonna see. I mean, as far as like with me and his mother, we had our differences, but at the end of the day, you know, we made amends. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you know, you have to agree um, to disagree. Sometimes when it comes to co-parenting, you know what I mean? You have to give up a lot of you know, for that situation um, to work. You know what I mean? And for you guys can cope and you know be in the same areas and so forth. You know what I mean? And it's not for you. You know what I'm saying? It's for your son. You know, or for your daughter, or just you know what I'm saying? Just for you know whatever may be presented. You know, for that situation. Um, one thing that I will say as far as like me being young and not being without a father, I make sure that I give my son everything that I didn't have. So that was just like, you know, something that um, I gather, something that I learned as far as, you know, going through life, you know, and not having a father in the household and so forth. Um, I don't hold no grudges against my dad or anything now. I feel my mom did a tremendous job. You know what I mean? My mom's still here. Um, she had some strokes, so I currently, you know what I'm saying, look after my mom. Um, the best of my ability. You know, sometimes it's hard. And what I mean by that is just to see my mom like that, because it's like night and day. You know, one minute my mom's running, jumping, working. Uh, next minute, you know, she's not moving. You know, or doing as she was once before. Her mind is still intact, which is great. Um, but a lot of the physical uh, uh, capabilities as far as hearing, seeing, so forth is not the same. But for the most part, you know, she who she is. You know what I mean? And so I'm thankful for that. You know, and she's still here. When it comes to um, relationships, um, as far as with your brothers, your family members. Back then, the bonds are a lot stronger. Um, and you don't think about that. But as you get older, the bonds that you did have when you was a younger kid, they're still here. Um, the stronger bonds. And because I got family members right now, our bond is just it's still there. Whether we're adults and we have our own lives and we have to take care of. But if I tell my one family member, I don't care if I ain't seen you in 5 or 10 years. You know what I'm saying? We touch bases on birthdays, we touch bases in passings, whatever the case may be. But that love is still there. You know what I mean? And we don't hold no fault to one another or whatever the case may be. We understand that we got responsibilities, you know what I'm saying, outside of ourselves, and we have families. So, um, it's uh, more or less you not just thinking about yourself and understanding that, you know what I'm saying, it's not all about you. You know what I mean? So it's just different things, that we all have to look at in life. And we have to, take a step back and just look at those things. Relationships change. You know what I'm saying? They may change as far as the dealings, but internally they're still the same. You know what I mean? That's most important. You know what I mean? So it's like I have people that I have known for like many, many years. And, and these people are not even family members. But when we see each other, it's all love. You know what I mean? We catch up a little bit on, what they're doing, how their family's doing, so forth and so on. And, once we depart, you know what I'm saying? Until the next one. So it's just like, just not, you know what I'm saying, uh when a kid, the relationships that you have with individuals, some of them they come, some of them go. Some of the relationship lasts until that person is no longer here on earth. you know so there's different just dynamics, when it comes to that as well. So just, just touching bases, on that, shortly, and getting a idea as far as with that as well. I as a person, saying fully understand that. You know what I mean? So, when I see a person, you know, I don't hold anything against them individuals. You know what I mean? And hopefully they don't hold anything against me, because as I always tell them, man, and I tell people to this very day, man, we ain't kids no more. You know what I mean? We have our families, we have our kids, you know what I'm saying? We have our own lives to live. And as I say, if everything goes bad with me, who's going to be there to take care of mine or to pick mine up? So I have to take care of my own situations. But getting back to what I said, too young to understand what made this hand a winning hand. I'm still here to this very day. And I'm not done yet, as I told you guys many, many times again, many, many times and again. But I just want to just kind of talk to you a little bit. I know I've been away for a minute, uh, just collecting my thoughts. Like I say, um, just trying to continue to deliver something. Hopefully, that somebody can get something from these videos and just get a better idea on themselves, and trying to reach people. You know what I'm saying, in general, and giving them that understanding that, what I mean, don't give up. It's not over. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're breathing, as long as you wake up in the morning, you putting your feet on that floor, don't give up. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot of life, what I'm saying, left in you. You know what I'm saying? If you want that life, you know what I mean? If you want that better life and that healthy life, you know what I mean? And when I talk about that, once again, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about mentally. You know what I mean? Just that love, that bond, and as far as, you people that got kids out there or a kid, you know what I'm saying? Reconnect, make that bond. There's no reason why a kid should be fatherless or a kid should be motherless. You know what I'm saying? If you're present, you know what I'm saying, and you have the right mind state, I can understand that sometimes the other parties make it difficult, you know, uh, to be a part of, the kids' lives. But it's not about you. It's not about her. Some way that you may be able to connect with that kid, you know what I'm saying, your kid, do so. You know what I mean? Don't neglect, don't walk away, don't give up, because in the end, that kid is you. You know what I mean? And that kid will grow up and they will give thought, just as I did. You know what I mean? Fortunately, my dad is still here, and I can reconnect with him, and we can have those conversations and discussions. You know what I'm saying? Um, about what took place, in which I told my dad, nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? And I understand, in which I did understand. You know, and it's like uh, going through life and being young and going through the arrows and choosing not to do certain things in life. In life, we're all given choices. We're given decisions, and it's up to us to make the decisions. In some eyes, they may be wrong. They may be wrong. In other eyes, as far as yourself, you might feel that they're right. But whatever decision that you make sure you can live with it, because there's repercussions to everything you do in life. You know what I'm saying? Whether you consider them good or whether you consider them bad, you know what I mean? There's something that follows. But I would just like to say to you all, you know what I mean? When that hand's dealt to you, because it was dealt to you when you was born, don't never think it's a losing hand, you know what I'm saying, due to your environment or the situation, you know what I'm saying, that you're born in. Make that hand a winning hand. It's EPA. I'm out of here.
Ego and pride aside. I know you, but I don't know you. You know you, but do you know you? Ego and pride aside. You know me, but you don't know me. I know me, but do I know me? Ego and pride aside. I know you when you don't know you. You know me and I don't know me. That voice in your head been heard for a long time. Artificially a mystery in your own mind. In the core which you always hit you with the calm trash. Developing the issue with some shit you could've walked past. All that raw math, long ass idling. Tribal shit when your mind's your best survival kit. At war with yourself, arguing with the barber dude. You your own worst enemy, sabotaging you. Voices and choices, don't drink the poison. Poised and wise, defining your own order.